This week, from the Bay Area, we have with us Kenny Hatch. Kenny is a California native who has played basketball at various levels, including overseas and professional leagues in Spain and Italy, and is now running a player development facility in San Francisco. Throughout the episode, we talk about the mindset required to continue chasing self-development and what it's like to go from being an athlete to now coaching players. Follow Kenny on Instagram at KennyHatch44 and check out his new facility opening soon. As always, thanks for listening and enjoy the episode.
Before we hit the intro music, I wanted to introduce to you guys the Yoakum Strength Insider. The Yoakum Strength Insider is our online training platform that takes all of the ideas that we talk about on this podcast and implements them into a program that is available to you at the touch of your fingers. Our goal with the Yoakum Strength Insider is to create better movers, to level up your life, and to move forward from where you are. We do this in a holistic fashion. Not only will you receive a program that has helped hundreds of people become better movers, you'll also receive access to our app that allows you to track everything, has video links for all exercises, and allows you to be in constant communication with a Yoakum Strength coach. Along with this, you'll get our 30-page PDF nutrition and lifestyle guidelines. That includes everything from what to eat, how much of it to eat, why we're eating it, meditation habits, and other lifestyle habits that we implement with our clients to really level up their lives. If you're interested in trying out one of these programs, use Podcast 25 in the discount section right before you pay for 25% off your first program. Boom.
This is the Yoakum Strength Podcast. Take the leap down the rabbit hole with us as we interview elite level guests to unravel what high performance really is.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm excited to have you here. I heard we got some lore with how you and Tristan officially met. Can we start with let's start with the important points of the podcast and talk about that lore and how you two met, and then we'll get into the non-important, like sports specific stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Tristan, hey, you wanna start it up?
We went out into New York City as a young guy trying to figure out his way in the world, and my big Samoan offensive lineman roommate, says I know some friends from California in town, and the night just progresses from there, and get to meet someone from California, and now talk to him on a podcast 10 years later.
Yeah, that's crazy. Has it been 10 years?
Yeah.
It's been 10 years since you guys met? Oh, that's kind of crazy.
Probably.
Oh, so
like
you were really getting after it at that point,
Yeah,
Tristan,
like
huh?
sophomore, junior year in college.
We were fresh. Yeah, we were fresh. I don't think, none of us are 21. Aside the point, we had a great night. Lofi, shout out my boy Lofi. Yes, big Samoan lineman. That's my guy. He was like, yeah, I'm out here, and it was my first time visiting New York, and I was like, man, let's go out. And he's like, yeah, I got some boys with me. I'm like, cool. We had a great time. Did what we had to do. Got some photos got some memorabilia of the night. But yeah, and then we just stayed connected. Tristan just on Instagram over the last 10 years. You took off with cycling, which is, it's a crazy thing to take off with, but
Were you still wrestling at this time, Tristan, when you met him?
I think I had just transitioned into maybe like my first year of cycling. So I was the novice. I was at that Dunning-Kruger of like, oh, dude, I get this. Meanwhile, I'm seeing photos of myself back in races, and I'm like, dude, I look like a Jerry. I look like an idiot.
Yeah, no, it was cool though. It was cool to watch, just that progression from my side. But yeah, we just stayed connected, and then 2 years, 2 years after that, I went overseas for the first time in Spain. But yeah, we'll get into basketball.
Yeah, hell yeah. So were you playing college ball at the time?
Yeah, I was in junior college right when that summer I had just graduated, got my AA in junior college, got my scholarship to go play in a small school in South Texas.
Hell yeah. How was that? How was that college experience? How did it lead to like that European journey? Like what was that basketball journey like? Tell me about it.
It was actually cool because my college was on the border of Mexico. I was in Laredo, Texas, and I picked up a lot of Spanish. So my first year in Spain, I kind of it was kind of helpful. But no, but on the court, it was great. It was probably the hardest 2 years of basketball that I've ever played. Um, but it prepared me to kind of explore that journey in Europe and just equip me with the tools to get through anything and play through anything. So it was great. I had a great 2 years in Texas.
Yeah, so you went straight from JUCO to like overseas ball.
No, so I played 2 years JUCO in California, and then I got a scholarship to this Division II school in Texas, where
Okay,
I
okay.
played another 2 years, and then I went to Spain for my
What was
first.
it? What give me a little bit of a dive into what that JUCO experience was like? Because I got a couple athletes going through the JUCO experience, bro. And some of the start, and it's a football JUCO experience. I'm not sure what the basketball one is like, but the football
Basketball.
one, dude, it's wild. Like some of the stories they tell me, it is just the most unmonitored, like just
Uh,
random ass practice of just dudes
yeah,
trying to get a scholarship. Like it is
it's
crazy.
not it's not as gritty as the football JUCO, but basketball JUCO is right there. Close number two. It was good. I mean, hell, one of my teammates is probably going to be my brother-in-law soon. So we've stayed, close friends, for the last, I mean, junior college, 2013, yeah, 12 years. Those guys are my best friends. But yeah, grind, grind. A lot of times at JUCO. Just uncertainty with playing, and then developing as just a young man at that age, 18, 19. You're sometimes playing against 23, 24-year olds, especially California JUCO is crazy. It's a lot different, a lot more different than the rest of the country. But nah, yeah, it definitely taught me how to grind and then, you know, be resilient for
What
sure.
what's like one of the crazier stories you guys have with like a practice or game or
Oh,
travel
easy,
or anything?
easy. Top of the head, easy. Spring, nah. It was during a break in school, so it might have been over winter break. And we're going through practice. JUCO is physical. I mean, you're pretty much fighting your teammates every day. It's a grind. But this day, literally, there was some fighting. So going through practice, bumping, and a friend of mine, or my teammates, um, they get into it, and they end up squaring up right on the court. Coach tries to jump in between. Now, here's the thing: between the two people, my two teammates, one was like 6'6", the other one's 6'5", some big guys. And then our coaches, maybe like 5'6", maybe 5'7". So he's trying to break it up. Anyways, they take it right out the doors of the gym to the street, and they're like squaring up, and the whole practice just got moved outside to our teammates, getting ready to throw hands. Um,
Little contact prep practice there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That was interesting. And then we went back inside and continued practice. It's JUCO. That is JUCO. But that's probably the number one. That's off the top.
Dude, we used to. I have a guy in JUCO, a football practice. He said that anytime players are fighting at practice, the coaches set up a fight night, and they go to a park after that. Like if they're starting to fight and they know they have beef, coach will set like an assistant coach is in charge of fight night. They go to a park. The coaches watch the park to make sure no cops come, and they put on boxing gloves and they have a full-on fight night in front of the full team with the two people that have been beefing. I was
I,
like,
I,
that
I
is the
believe
most
it.
insane thing to me ever.
I believe it. I believe it. I mean, that's how we get down. I mean, just, young men in athletics. Uh, that's all you need. And the great thing about it is like they were fine after that.
Just had to get it out of the system.
Hey, they just had to get it out of the system. I mean, the Final Four that year in junior college, and then both of them were, critical parts of our team. But it is what it is. Those guys here.
So, what was it like after junior college getting the scholarship and like going to, move into a different part because you were from California for a long time and now moving to Texas, you said Laredo by Mexico. Was it like kind of like when you got the scholarship, almost, hey, not dream come true, but hey, this is the next step. I've succeeded. I did what I wanted to do at junior college and make it to the next level. How was that next step for you?
Yeah, I was thrilled. I mean, I was very much like, all right, this is the next stepping stone. I knew I wanted to play overseas at this point. And, I had struggled so much in high school. I got cut 4 times in high school. I was super small, um, barely got to play 1 year of varsity. So just getting that scholarship, it made, all that pain kind of worth it. And, and I was like, yeah, this is my next step. Like I'm here and I'm ready to work. It was amazing.
What is that? I'm interested because this is something that I think one of the things that makes a phenomenal coach is physical constraints that they have found a way to work around
Oh
to
yeah.
become like a good player. You know what I mean? Because you have to figure it out on such a different level. And basketball is such a crazy one because like there's in football, there's physical constraints, right? Like obviously there's a size constraint in football, but it's like a lot of guys have the size, but it'll be like a strength constraint or a speed constraint. And these are things you can kind of work on, right? Like the height constraint in basketball, I mean, you can't work on that. It's not like you just like, yeah, I'm gonna go get taller, right? So like what was the process of like where you had to like mentally be like, okay, I'm not growing past 5'10 and I have to go score on these 6'6 type athletes. Like what was that process of like building out your skill practice and your role and what you need, like how you needed to develop as a player around a physical constraint that you can't change? Like I think that man, that just unlocks so many doors as a coach because you have no choice but to figure it out in this process.
For sure. And I mean, that's the answer right there. I just had to figure it out. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of playing experience from high school. So in junior college, I was in the gym 2, 3 times a day. And I relay that to my players now and the parents, and they're like, well, that's a lot of time. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. That's what it takes. But I spent every waking hour in the gym, developing, um, working on moves that would allow me to score. Obviously, shooting till my arms fell off, and then playing one on one. I attribute to a lot of like my development with just after practice, one on one with, like the guys I mentioned before in junior college. I mean, for hours. And all these guys are 6'3", 6'5", 6'8", like, and I'm just 5'10", not that fast. Okay, strength, not super strong, but just figuring it out. And that's exactly what I did. I mean, I knew I wasn't getting taller. I cried those tears in high school, uh, and then I just got over it and got to work.
What was there like a light bulb moment or like a not even a light bulb moment, but like a I belong type moment in like one of these 1v1s or like one of this practice where you're like, okay, I belong? Because especially not having like I think a lot of times it's almost like the inverse of like you have these high school stars and then they go to the school and they have the light bulb moment of like, oh, they're not shit. But if you were like struggling in high school and then it's JUCO and you have to earn it again, like when did you reach that like confidence point of like I can play college ball and I belong? I remember like I had that light bulb moment when I was on the football team. I was fucking trash all year, and I'm like, dude, I don't belong in this. Like I can't play college football. And I went to a track like practice and I started to like be good at track, and I'm like, oh, I can be a college athlete. Like, and it was such like, dude, it wasn't even the same fucking sport, but it's just like I belong, and I got some confidence, and that like catapulted everything in my athletic career just because I had like one data point to prove that like I wasn't a piece of shit. Like, did you have those moments, like where you're like, okay, I
Yeah,
can actually play here?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've had a very disproportional belief in myself, to my ability at one point. I believed that I was great and that I was going to be great. I just wasn't great yet. Um, and and I knew that, I mean, I don't even know what age, maybe fourth grade, fifth grade. Like I knew I was like, I'm gonna do this as long as I want to. But I wasn't yet producing at that at that level to do it as long. Um, So I think maybe when I was like 15 or 16, I learned how to work out on the court. I learned how to train myself, just watching, Steve Nash YouTube videos, Kobe. I was like, man, I got to figure it out. And then a tryout I had at school when I was killing everybody, and I was like, oh, like this is working. So maybe I should keep doing this.
Yeah.
And so I just kept working and that. But that was probably one of my light bulb moments was like my junior year, and I was like, holy shit, like I'm kind of good. Like let's keep working on this. Like, um, yeah, that's what I would say. But those one-on-one nights, playing after practice, those that build character for sure.
How did you, because I know basketball is a team sport. I mean, you can be a great player individually, but like you need a team. How did you get the team to believe in you too? Because obviously, physiologically, you're looking a little different than like the average basketball player coming in. As I think you
Yeah, yeah,
said,
sure.
the 5'10" white guy who's not jumping.
Yeah.
So how do you get the team, to rally around you and like see your strength and like deliver value as being one of those five players on the court?
Um, I think it's because every time they came in the gym, I was already in the gym. Um, and then they would leave the gym and I would still be in the gym. And that was really it, especially in junior college. When my teammates would show up at 7 a.m., I'd already been in there from 6 a.m., full sweat, working out. They would leave after practice. I would pull the shooting machine out and I'd get on the shooting gun as they were leaving. And I think like, that compound effect of them every single day seeing me already in there and then still being there, you know, like I say, I might have not been that great yet. There was a something building within them, like, damn, this guy's like just not stopping.
Yeah.
Um,
The
yeah.
uh the like balance of every good athlete that I've ever seen is this like balance of like the self-delusion. It's like almost like this formula of like you need to be self-delusional. Like you need to be delusional in some setting, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You need to have a little bit of like I don't know, of like self-hatred or like self-doubt because if you're just delusional, then you just think you're the hot shit and you don't practice, right? You need to know you are shit while also realizing like you're only shit now, but I'm gonna be a god type thing. And then you have to have like this massive level of like obsession that is funneled like through just like this autistic like love for the game. Like it's just like, oh my God, I need to be doing this at all moments. Like, did you develop like these things or did you feel like you're born with them? Because like this is something like when I'm working with athletes, it's just like some people like you can almost tell. It's like you're gonna make it, you're not. Because you have these psychological skill sets and you don't. And I don't care, like you can just see it, man. It's like this dude can be so far above physically where this athlete is, but like they don't have these three components that you kind of need to reach that level that all athletes talk about wanting to reach. But it's like if you don't have that, you're not going to reach that level because you're not going to put in the time and effort that allows for that compounding interest that you talked about of all the work that you've put in.
No, I agree. I was having a conversation with myself before we got on this, about like, what it takes. And I broke it down into two parts, the exact same way, which is you have to be delusional. I mean, ask anybody in high school, parent, teacher, staff, whatever, delusional, delusional. Ask them now, and they're like, oh, genius, like, you know. But at that time, absolutely delusional. Um, and yeah, you have to, but you also, like you said, I mean, I knew that it's gonna run out. It's something like you have to keep refilling. Um, so whether it's like, all right, that's great, but you got to get this percentage up. It's like, okay, that's great. You played in this league. It's like, all right, you got to go try to get that league. Um, so it's a delicate balance for sure. And I have the same experience training the players now. I know when a kid walks in the gym, it's very night and day, and people think it's not. It absolutely is. Like, no matter how skilled you are or unskilled, if the psychological part is there, it's undeniable, you know.
Do
Um,
you?
Well, oh,
Oh,
go
go.
ahead.
Yeah, go.
So one thing I noticed is that like it's almost like an athlete can be so prepared, and it just takes that one time where they get a shot where like someone's injured, somebody's sick to come in and start to shine. And I've seen that like with a few of the people on the lacrosse team that I worked with this year, like they weren't getting much playing time. Somebody was injured and they came in and just balled out. And like that was what they needed to then ball out the rest of the year. And then the people who were playing with them were like, well, I'm almost as good as them, like what's up? And you just see like almost that whole position group step up. Is that something that you kind of try to instill in your gym too? Like when someone in your gym starts to do well, you're like, hey, like look at clearly what we're doing is working, and they almost like buy into it more.
For sure. I mean, results are everything, as we know. So once people start to catch on, like, oh wait, she goes to my high school and now she's playing for this team, like where she been playing or where she been working out, and it's like she's been working out here, and it's like, yeah, it's not a mystery. The work is working.
The work is working. I fucking love that, dude. Where did you take that from the like how do you get the overseas offer? Was it just balling out at the Division 2 level? Was it like an active process of like going to go get recruited overseas? Like because I had a couple dudes that I went to college with that were like, I mean, they were all Americans for like 3 years, and their process they told me their process of finding like overseas balls was like it was crazy, like trying to get that like set up. And once they got there, it was an amazing experience. But like I know that like the competitiveness, especially bringing in like an American, like it's pretty tough. Like, what was that journey like for you?
Yeah, so I had actually got my first offer in Southampton in England, and I signed it. It was like June. I was on vacation. I was like, this is great. I already got my deal. I was made the second division in England, and I did not ball out. That I was. We won a conference championship in Texas, but I wasn't doing crazy numbers, but we won. But yeah, but it was hard to answer your question. I had that first contract in England, and they basically were like, actually, we're going to go a different route. And I was like, what? I already signed it. Like, what's going on? And, that kind of started my journey with the overseas, how do I say this? The, the struggle. It's the best, the PC version I could say, the struggle of overseas. Yeah, so then my dad found a camp online in Spain, and this camp is called Europro Basket. I was like, what the hell is this? Never heard of it. But I was like, you know what, whatever. I got to do something. It's August. Season's about to start. So I booked a one-way flight to this camp in Girona, Spain.
Yeah.
And I showed up, and I didn't sleep the whole first night before the camp started. And I don't know, I felt like I was in a jungle the first day. And I just like best basketball I've ever played in my life. Um, Off no sleep. I hadn't slept for like 30 hours or something. And 5 days after that, I got my first contract in Spain, and
And you just stayed.
just stayed.
Yeah, bro, that's the self-delusion coming fucking full
Hey,
circle.
oh, I got it. I got it on a full level.
So you get the contract. Did you start practice like pretty much right away with them? Do you have like time period? Like, what do you do during that like turnaround time?
Straight to it. Practice, preseason games, got straight into it. Um, Straight 10 months. I missed Christmas for the first time. I was in Spain till maybe May. So, yeah, whatever that, August to May. I don't even know how many months that is. It's a lot. But yeah, I just played the whole first season in Spain.
When you went there, did you literally fly that one-way flight with like a carry-on or like luggage or what? So you
Uh,
arrived in a foreign country and you had like two suitcases and said like this is it?
One suitcase, one way flight, and I was like, I'm not coming home. So it worked. It
What
worked.
was that transition like? Because I mean, obviously, you said you picked up a little Spanish down in southern border of Texas, but I know Spanish, and Mexican Spanish are two
Different.
different things. How did it go on with coaching staff, players, just like living in Spain, being a dude from California who spent 2 years on the Mexican border in Texas? Like that's got to be a culture shock, let alone anything else.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely not the same, but at least I could understand some words better. It was hard. The coach didn't speak English. A couple of my teammates were like younger, so they really solid English, so they were helping me through a lot of the Spanish. But as you can imagine, like basketball is it's universal. They use a lot of English words to describe, what's going on the court. It's just, some of the yelling in Spanish. No, I had no idea for 6 months.
It's probably helpful, bro. He's screaming
Yeah,
at you something. You're like, bro, I have no idea.
no
That's probably
idea.
not even at me. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of learning. But it was off the court was the hardest part because like you go from college, you're like doing something every day. You got school, practice, weight room, and then in overseas, you all of a sudden have like 14 hours, 16 hours to yourself a day. And I was like, what the hell am I gonna do for 14 hours a day? So that was hard to adjust to.
What was the like kind of training environment like there? I know I have a couple guys go overseas and they're pretty kind of blown away with how kind of far behind, especially in the strength conditioning sector and the sports performance sector, a lot of it is there. And even like training there. Like I have two guys playing European football right now, and like lifting weights is pretty new there. Like where they're at. Like it's not like it's not an American thing. Like it is such an American culture thing. What was that kind of like? And were you like, bro, what are we doing coaching wise, like sports performance wise? Like, what was kind of your thought process there?
Yeah, for sure. I had similar thoughts. We were not in the weight room as heavy as I thought we would be. So, I just took it upon myself to stay in the weight room. And then on the court, I was very confused with how chill it was. And, I just came from Division II in Texas. I mean, it was like, I thought I was Tristan out there. I'm like, is this the Army? Like, what's going on? It was so intense. And then I get to Spain and it's like, we're playing tag to warm up. And I'm like, what? What are we doing here, guys? Like, let's get to work. So it was an adjustment, but you learn, like I learned, to my last year in Italy that a lot of you need to switch stuff up. You need to mentally take breaks in areas when you warm up and on the court, and it really does help you, just play the game and see what's in front of you. Um, in America, we come from very intense all the time. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, like LeBron, we're locked in killers. Over there, it's a different approach, but they're still very competitive.
Well,
So that was hard.
well, and that's kind of the cool thing that I have noticed in people playing overseas is the focus on skill is like through the roof, and that's where it's like I think the American culture and the best teams do it. You get like the American grind mindset with like the European skill and like almost art kind of focus on the sport. And when you combine those two things, man, that is an absolute like dangerous combo. Did you notice like a massive difference in the emphasis of skill and technique when it came to the sport? And did you learn a lot? Like what were you able to take a lot away from that?
Sure. Yeah, I bring all of that into my training now.
Yeah.
And all of the, here we're very like, no, you got to do it this way. And then there, they're like, they teach the skill, but they teach it in a way where it's like applicable to each player, if that makes sense,
Hmm.
quicker. If a guy can't do a certain thing, they're not going to force this move, if that makes sense. They're like, okay, we'll just take this approach to it, but be effective. And I kind of took that mindset, into my training where it's like everybody's bodies move different. IQ or the way we approach our workouts might be different, but the end goal is still the same, and that's to produce.
Well, that's the thing in the American world is like we kind of get away with our rah rah, just like everybody fit in the one mold approach because we have so many athletes. It's such a survivorship bias of like we have so many people funneling into. I mean, in basketball, it's 5 spots, right? In football, it's 22 spots, and you have 400 kids trying for 22 spots on the field. You know what I mean? So it doesn't like if somebody doesn't fit, they don't have to be patient. They don't have to like become better coaches to teach them. It's just like next guy up, next person that can survive our coaching. And it like it's so infuriating because it's like you get results because of the survivorship bias, not because of the coaching. And then on the back end, we tied into like how good of coaches we are. I'm like, dude, that
Yeah.
dude's just a freak. Like we just got so lucky that guy decided to commit to our college. And if you are much more limited resources with your athletes, you do not have that gift of like thousands of athletes. You have to develop the athletes that you have, and you have to become a better coach because of that.
I agree, 100%, 100%. It's a lost art.
Do you think that kind of method worked really well for you and taught you a lot? Because, like you said, you didn't fit into that traditional mold. And so, almost being able to step back from, as you said, that like locked in rah-rah methodology to, oh crap, there's more than one way to, finesse the ball, learn the skill, and having these coaches almost authorize and like say, hey, what you're doing and what you have been doing isn't just good, like it's kind of what we expect. Was that awesome to see?
Yeah, no, for sure. I wish I had learned it, 15 years ago. It would have been great for somebody like me because I couldn't do half the stuff that, these coaches were teaching, or these players could do. So I was like, I always felt left out, and I always felt like, all right, it's not applicable, or I need something different. So yeah, for sure. Once I felt that, I was like, man, this game's even more beautiful. Like it's awesome.
Well, that's one of the things that I love. Like, this is such a like a random like meathead rant of somebody that has an outside perspective of basketball, but in the Midwest, everybody hates Luca, bro. Everybody hates Luca. And I watch it and I'm like, I geek out over watching Luca get these fouls because like it's so like artistic in the way of like he beats them, knows he beats them, then like the body control of being able to hook. Like it's a skill. It is such a skill and like art in the way that he does it. And he's like the American like rah-rah world gets so frustrated. It's not, I'm like,
Yeah.
that is, dude. You could not do that. Like you could not draw that foul that he draw. Like the way that he does it when they slow it down, I'm like, dude, that is such a high level of skill. And I get it's annoying, but like I don't know, man. I geek out over the artistic side of the way that he games the game within itself.
For sure. I mean, that's how you tell when players are just mentally superior. You know, he's so far ahead of everything going on the floor. I mean, I saw him in Spain his last year in Madrid. I had a friend on a team, and we got to watch the game, and I watched him play, and I was just like, this guy's incredible. Like
Different.
this guy, he does. It looks like he's not even trying. He's walking half the time, and you can't stop him. It's crazy. It's just beautiful.
Well, I think that's awesome to see. We little tangent here. We just had like an assignment for like our sports performance thing where we got like all these physiological tests and we're like, hey, what recommendations would you give to the coach? And like one of my answers was like, well, we don't have anything on their actual sport performance. So maybe we should look to see like, hey, if this is basketball, like are they balling out and scoring points? Because then the coach, I guarantee, would not care what their 5.05 is or their flying 10 or any of this. And someone else was like, "Yeah, didn't Jokic wasn't he like the bottom of every combine stat
Yeah.
imaginable?" Like, so like if we are basing it off of this, like what would you tell the coach based on these parameters? I'm like, well, we should probably watch him play the sport, and then we can maybe go from there. But I guarantee, no matter what, if this kid balls out or is good, no one cares what any of these stats are. They only care when they're not actually good at the sport, what those random metrics are that they decide to deem important.
Yeah, yeah, it's tough because it's like sometimes nothing. That's it. Just appreciate what's in front of you. That's it. Move on to the next player.
So what was the European like journey like when you're there? You're balling out now. How long were you there? How long were you playing? And when did you decide to be like, okay, this is my basketball career. I'm done with this.
Yeah, I played 5 years in total. I played 3 in Spain, 2 in Italy. Um, and I mean, it was great. I mean, the relationships I built far above every basketball experience I had. Um, my last year, I had 8 of my teammates from Italy fly to California to, watch me get married.
Hell yeah.
And that's really, that was it for me. It's always what it's been about is the relationships. I play well. I didn't play in, the top leagues that I wanted to play in, but I had such a fun time, living out my dream. That younger Kenny, like, was delusional about. And, it was nice to be like, okay, well, I did it. Um, but it was great. After my 5th year, I knew I was getting married that summer in August, and I was just kind of like, all right, my wife now, my girlfriend at the time, fiance at the time. I was like, she's been with me for 5 years in Europe. Like, that's a huge sacrifice. And my personal, goals as a just a young man is, I want to start a family and start this business. And I was like, you know what, now's the time to just rip the Band-Aid off. So I was like, all right, let's do it and uh, get into the player development stuff.
And what was that process like? What'd you do? Did you go somewhere right away? Did you realize like, oh, I have to learn how to coach now because I know like this? Like, what's that journey like?
Yeah.
Because that's always like that's the identity crisis moment for so many athletes.
Yes. I thought I knew everything that I needed to know already. I was like, cool, I'm gonna get home. I'm gonna post one post on Instagram, tell everybody I'm home. They're gonna be like, "Oh, you're so great. We want to come work out with you." Yeah, not at all. Crickets. So I got home, went going through my identity crisis. I'm not working out 3 times a day. I'm working for my dad, doing real estate, appraising, sitting in the office, and I'm like, yeah, no, this is not it. And so I'm just trying to figure out, okay, how do I get clients? How do I get gym time? I'd done all the camps. I knew I wanted to get into player development. I taught myself how to play. So yeah, I just started figuring it out step by step. Contacting schools. Hey, can I get some gym time? Reaching out to friends and family members. You guys know anybody that needs training? Um, so I started training out of like local gyms, my high school. I got to March 2023, and I looked at my Venmo account and I was like, holy shit, like I made $2,000 training this month. Crazy. Like, wow, like this is really working. I told my wife, I'm like, come on, I can do this. And circle all the way back to delusion. I knew I needed to build my own gym because it was going to work. So I started figuring out how to build a gym in San Francisco, and then I built it 3 months later. So
Hell yeah. So how long have you been there?
2 years almost.
2 years. What's the space like?
So it's like 4,200 square feet, 2,500 square feet of court space. It's like a full-size NBA half court. And then we have like a 400 square foot weight room, an office, and yeah, we built it.
And what's the like training day look like when an athlete comes and works with you? Like how many days a week they working with you? What are you all doing? You doing all skill stuff? Does it depend on the athlete? You doing the weight room stuff with them? Like how does that kind of like journey and process work when you're coaching an athlete?
Yeah, so it really depends, as you can imagine, on just the level. I mean, I worked with an Olympian last summer. I've worked with fourth graders, um, everybody in between, just kind of assessing what they need. Um, I don't do any of the weight room stuff. We have a weight room coach now. She handles all the, post session prep or mobility stuff, and then I just handle on court stuff. But yeah, I get a feel for what they need, and as frequently as they want to come in. That's how I started it, whenever they want to come in. But now I'm moving more towards like let's just get the few that really want to commit to it and get them scholarships or get them to the next contract, or really help them get to where they want to go. But the committed athletes is where I'm at now.
Oh yeah. And is it all one on one? Is it with a group like with a bunch of athletes getting after it each other? Like how's that kind of process?
Yeah, so I do both. I do one-on-one, a lot of one-on-one training, and then small group. I'm not a fan of too big of groups, so my biggest group size is six, and that's just with the grade
That's like the
school.
perfect number. Yeah.
Um, and but I really like, it's more about like the impact. So I do a lot of one-on-one and small group. Maybe not the biggest, return on revenue for revenue, but I'm a full believer. Like if it's impactful, that money's coming back. So that's my approach.
When you're like working with these people, like what's kind of like a normal session like? Do you run everything from the warm up to the drills, and then like what's your like niche that you help them with? Like when someone's like, I'm coming to Kenny, like what is it typically that they're wanting to work on? Is it just kind of those non-traditional basketball skills? Is it just kind of a mentality, or what is the big purpose or like the general reason people kind of come to see you?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know, but it's whatever it's going on, it's working. We have over 300 clients now, so um, I think they really come just for a clear understanding of what they need to do um, when they're in the gym with me. I don't do any of the warm up now. The strength coach, she'll do the activation stuff, and then we'll get into the basketball stuff that I handle. Um, but um, yeah, I really just try to give them a clear path of where they're at. I'm super transparent. I don't lie to them. If you guys suck, I'm gonna tell you you suck. But I'm also, and this is what's different than when I was their age, is that I'm gonna tell you how to get better, and that's a piece that I was always missing. Which is like, yeah, I suck. That's great. I know I suck, but how do I change it? Like what are the steps? And those steps look different for each player, but I feel like I have a great um, I have a good amount of knowledge to, plan that out for them and tell them how to go get it.
Yeah, the balance that you like you were saying. I think the American world is really good at telling somebody they suck without any answer on the backside. It's like, yeah, dude, I already know that. Like, what are we talking about? Like, how do I fix the sucking part? Like, and again, part of why that American process works is like if you suck, like part of it is just going to go work on your craft, right? Like, and if you realize you suck, you go work on your craft. But there's also like there are better and worse ways to work on your craft. And I am against I think we're in a little bit of a world of paralysis by analysis of, I think people have so much information that they stress out that they're not working on their craft in the best way. So then instead of getting any work done, they get zero work done, right? But again, that's not to negate the fact that there are better ways to work on your craft. And when you're working on your craft with your athletes, is it you were talking about how the one-on-ones were super effective with you, like a lot of live experiences and going through. Is that how you kind of approach it with your athletes and doing a lot of small-sided games and one-on-one and those type of drills, or is it more just like ball handling type drills, like a combination of both? Like how are you finding that practice and the best kind of optimal way of them finding the way so they don't have to suck, so they can work on their craft in the best and not the best way, but a more efficient way than them just like doing it themselves.
Yeah. So, with the small sided, I mean, if if I get a group of three players in, that's perfect. Um, because we could teach the individual skills. I have enough time to break down, small details for each of them in the flow of the workout. And then we can get to the small sided games where they can apply what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
I think where I really come in is instilling the confidence for kids, and not even just kids, I mean, even the pros, to try things that their coach or their agent or whoever would not emphasize them to try and grow in. Very much, do your role, be a pro at your role. And that's it's very true. But when it comes to developing, it's chaos. There's not like oh, if I just do this, then I get better. No, you know, you got it's trial and error. You have to figure out what works, how it works, and then, you know, how to make it a part of your role. If that makes sense.
Oh, app, dude, that is our gym too. Like, like everything you just said there, that is like the power of everything I talk about our gym. It's like you just, for most of these athletes, you just need to provide an environment in which they can go explore and create and like be vulnerable enough to allow them to go do that. And I think one of the things that the private sector does have a benefit over the like traditional, like the college sector, you have more resources, you have them for longer periods of time, but it's so like if I fuck this up, I lose my starting spot. And that was my entire college career, man. It was like it was such a I became like the pro in my role and I got really, really good at that. But like there was so much more for me to grab onto if I just played with things and just had a little bit of space to mess around with things and see if I could find something. And maybe that works for me and maybe it doesn't. But now I at least know and then I can go try this other thing. But for so many athletes in these college and pro settings, it's like if I try something and it doesn't work, like that could be my job or that could be my starting position, right? And you obviously can't mess around with that when you're playing a game, right? Like that's not the spot to go do that. But providing them an environment in which they can go try these things. And again, 90% of them don't work, right? Like it's just not your move and it's why you haven't been doing it, or that's just not the type of player you are. But the 10% that does, man, that's your exponential gain of becoming that different player and taking that next step up. And most athletes just, again, it's just an environment for them to experiment with that other 10% and see if they can find something.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. And I tell all the, you know, players like you have to try. You know, if you don't try, you can't come back. I don't care if you miss or make or kick the ball off your foot, but you gotta try because if you don't, you won't figure it out. And you're just gonna and also I hate having the same conversations with parents, with players. I'm like, guys, we've been talking about this for 6 months. You're not doing what I'm telling you to do. Why would you think it's going to change 6 months? You guys got to go for it. But it's really like you said, it's being vulnerable, and that's the type of the space that I want to create. Is like these kids got to be, and not just kids, pros. They got to be vulnerable to improve.
One thing that I thought would be super cool in like a team sport and skill environment like that was one of my old coaches for cycling. Like I had a buddy John, as you know him, Austin. We were like very different sizes, and he was way better at certain aspects than me, and I was way better at certain aspects than him. And like we purposefully get paired together for things so that like we could almost like bully each other at that other aspect. So when you're like getting an organization or a practice going, do you sometimes be like, all right, you know, I got this absolute like super tall, lanky kid, and I'm gonna pair him up with this other speed demon like Short King, so that we can almost work on the attributes that don't go well together and get them both exposure to things that they struggle with. Is that something you ever consider?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, basketball, it's so positionless right now. And this is what I was going to say to the previous question, Austin, was we work on so many fundamental things. It's very rare that we're working on anything that's crazy. I teach the fourth graders, the Olympian, all the same. It's how to put the foot there, that foot there, how to play with pace, how to shoot the ball on balance. Like it's very fundamental. So when it comes to the differences in players, I put them both. Like, I'll put the smaller kid in the post, and you
Mhm.
got to post up. You got to know what to do. I take the taller kid out, and you have to be able to put the ball on the floor and attack the basket with confidence. Like you guys, there's no putting you in the post, putting you outside. It's over with. It's 2025. You know, you got Wemby shooting threes. Like it's over. You guys have to know how to play the game all the way around. You know, fundamentals first.
Yeah, that's something that we see at our gym too, and just the strength conditioning sector is the power of like having like a like my favorite is like the female gymnast we have paired with like these big offensive linemen like football types. And one of the things you'll see is like the offensive line like football type will see the gymnast do a like body position. Let's say it's a back bend or a walkover, and that is something that they previously considered like impossible because all they see is surround themselves with like big football guys, and now
Right.
they see that and they're like, motherfucker, like she can do that. Like I need to be able to go like develop
Yeah.
these qualities in my body to be able to like at least get close. Like I'm never gonna look like her. And then in the other end, it's like the gymnast watching the football guy lift a bunch of weights. She's like, well, fuck, if he can lift like a bunch of weights, like I can go get strong and lift a bunch of weights. And it's kind of a cool like back and forth process of like Tristan was talking about, just surrounding two people with two totally different skill sets and allowing them. And obviously, it's never going to become your main skill set, but just widening that general base. Like you're always going to have your triangle in this skill tree, right? Of like whatever you peak at, whatever your skill set is. But I really do believe the farther you can widen out that base, the better your triangle gets, but just the better your overall play gets. Whether it's just physically and physiologically in your body's ability to move, or in these certain skill sets. And like you were talking about, it's even more important in basketball where it's literally positionless now. You know, like you need to be able to do it. It's not like football where it's a benefit to be able to do these things. It's like you don't have the option anymore.
Exactly. No, I agree with you 100%. And it's great to see the differences, and then, kind of kids, athletes getting curious. They're like, oh, well, he does that well. Like, let me try that. And watching that grow, it's definitely very satisfying for a coach to see the players improve.
So psychologically wise, you talked about the confidence aspect, and obviously that's a massive piece in basketball, right? Let's say you have an athlete that can like shooting on air, making all the shots, man. Like it feels like a dog, and then gets in games and freezes up, can't make a shot, like it doesn't have that confidence. What's your process of building that confidence into that athlete to be like, hey, dude, like you have these skill sets, go fucking like do the skill. Like what's your process of that?
Almost those words verbatim. Yeah, so a lot of it is just gaining the trust of an athlete. I've been through every emotion with basketball. Maybe not at the NBA level, EuroLeague level, but I know what it's like to miss shots. I know what it's like to fail. Um, my knowledge and failure, I think, is what helps, you know, prepare the athletes, and just being real with them. That you're gonna fail. You're gonna miss a shot. You're gonna make mistakes. You need to get the fuck over it. uh, you play your best basketball when you're happy and confident and you're just hooping. Um, and that sounds great, but then, I put them into situations where they have to really compete. If I'm training, the higher level high school, college pros, I have two or three other assistants on the floor with me that are bumping, that are chasing them off the screens, that are adding pressure, they're clapping loud. We're talking shit throughout the workout, the music's loud. And I always, tell the players, just keep your mind quiet and just put the ball in the basket. Um, so with reps mentally and physically, I feel like that helps them produce.
Yeah, dude, I love put the ball in the basket. Like so many of these sports, it's just like it's the answer is so simple, and then we like make it so complex on the back end. And when we make it complex, and obviously there's skill sets
Yeah,
and processes to put the ball in the basket, but like we get so lost in all the other things and just we lose focus. And like there's so many coaches that are like that's a meathead answer, and it's like yeah, but you're confusing the fuck out of your athletes trying to like do all this other stuff. It's like you
yeah,
need to simplify, like especially and again, it's like. I think as coaches, we need to understand like the generation we are in. Like that fucking matters. Like it may be back in the day when there was no knowledge of sports performance and like we did need more data or we did need better skill acquisition like processes and we needed better drills and it didn't just need to be as dumb as possible or simple as possible. But we're not in that age anymore, man. Like we are in the age of every athlete has 14 million basketball drills in front of them all day, every day on their phone. They have no idea what they should focus on. Like they think they should do all these things, and then somebody comes and says, no, that's the worst thing ever. And they're like back and forth. And most athletes right now that I am seeing that come into my gym, like they just need to be told, put the ball in basket, hit the fucking ball, tackle the person in front of you, and let's go put you in environments in which you can do that over and over and over again. So you're not sitting there freezing with, what do I do?
it's perfectly said. That's all it is. And just putting them and creating those environments. And that's why I created a gym. And that's why I'm building another one. I think there's a void in the market for real coaching. And this is, I think, what it really looks like. Exactly what you said.
Hell yeah.
So how do you, going off of what Austin said, how do you handle it when kids come in, and they're like, I just saw this drill on Instagram, or like, hey, ex basketball player is doing this, like I want to do that. How do you almost, without shutting them down completely, because that, that stings as an athlete if, someone you're working with or look up to is just like, that's stupid, we're not doing that. How do you toe that line of sticking to what you want to do in your framework, but also almost being open? Do you ever gain knowledge from them, or do you kind of stick to what you know and keep them moving along and kind of get off that drill?
Um, I try to always be receptive. Like, hey, any type of feedback or drill, okay, let me take a look. Um, I try to open, it's always a dialogue between player and coach. But I try to remind the athlete if the drill is a little too far-fetched or it doesn't really make sense, like just like what we're talking about. Like, that's cool. You'll get there, or you can try that outside of here. But right now, like, you have zero college offers. You're not starting on your team. You're paying money to be here. Let's lock in. We have things to work on, and just being real. And I talk to every athlete the same. I think trying to sugarcoat it for the young kids is not a good idea. I think trying to sugarcoat it for the guys that, $1 million NIL deals and contracts is not a good idea. Um, and that's, yeah, I don't do any of it. I just try to be real. I try to be honest and always approach everything with, gratitude.
Where would you say most of your coaching philosophy like kind of stems from? Do you have like a mentor? Is it just all your coaching like experiences? Have you like had light bulb moments since like the athlete career? Because like I know like I had my athlete career and then I was pulling a lot from my athletic career. And then I met a couple like mentors after that really like shook things up for me. And I was like, oh, this I can definitely grab and steal from this in my own coaching philosophy. And I wish I would have had that as an athlete. Like I think that's a lot of my coaching like development is like, what did I wish I would have had as an athlete? How could I have simplified this as an athlete for myself if I was like coaching myself? And that it's like an unbelievably helpful auditing process of would this have helped me when I was an athlete? Would this process, would this coaching technique, would this drill, whatever it is, like that self auditing process. But what's like your kind of philosophy when you go through the process of like learning how to coach and using your own athletic career and using mentors that you've learned from?
Yeah, I was doing the same thing. I was pulling from like just everything I had in that first 6 months of really getting into it. Then I realized I was like, okay, like I got to diversify like my knowledge. I have to learn from the coaching side. So I get a lot of development from previous coaches, junior college coach, my Texas coach, um, in terms of just approaching the workout and player development, what skills we're working on. Um, Phil Handy, I watch a lot of Phil Handy, legendary coach for the Lakers, trainer I've had in the city that I worked with my whole pro career in San Francisco, a trainer that I worked with down in LA. Um, I reach out to these guys constantly, just asking them for advice. Yeah, and I kind of just take it all in. I try stuff out and just constant refinement of like, do I like this? Is this something, like you said, is this something that would have helped me? That auditing process. And then, yeah, it's constantly evolving. But I try to pull from just credible sources that are out there and then my own experiences.
Yeah, and that process of like I think that's a thing too, where it's like it can be a good idea, it can work in one situation, and then you apply it to yours, they're like, oh, that just doesn't work, and you just have to audit out of that. I think so many people just like it's like, oh, it came from a source, it must be good, or it works for them, it
Yeah.
must work for me, and they just like force themselves into a block of coaching that is just not right for their environment or their athletes or them. Like I think that's a big thing that I see in the strength conditioning world right now. It's like the cool thing is to be like the hip sports scientist like Tristan, like to be the smart nerd, like to do all that. And you have so many coaches that are just not that coach, right? But they feel the pressure to go be that coach. And you hear these guys talk about it, and it's like, That's not you. You're not the smart nerd. And so you don't believe in this. I don't believe in you talking about this. Like this is just a waste of time. Whereas I have other coaches that are just like they are the nerds, man. Like they are smart and when they talk, I'm like, "Yes." Like I want to do sports science with you because like it makes sense when you say it and I believe in what you're saying because you believe in it and you actually know it. But I just feel like so many coaches they in the same way athletes force themselves in athletic molds, like coaches force themselves into coaching molds, and a lot of the time it's just whatever's cool and hip in the moment for all these other coaches. And it's like, man, that's not you. You can't do that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'll rip a drill out mid drill. You know what? And it's awkward. I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that. Never mind. Let's go to something else. And just being vulnerable in that way.
Um, one thing that I was curious about was you said your coaching philosophy is like evolved and it's not just something stagnant, which is good to hear because I feel like sometimes people, they get their thing that works and they don't want to switch it up no matter what. If you feel comfortable, like what's your one of your biggest mistakes or things that you like believed in early on that you've kind of been like, that isn't it, and you've moved on from, or have you had any of those?
Um, yeah, maybe I think maybe like trying to fit a player into a way to shoot the basketball, or dribble the basketball, which sounds stupid because that's basketball. But at first I was like, no, guys, you got to do it like this. This is how it works best. And I think I was like trying to force that instead of like, okay, let's take a step back. Let's go through each step of developing a shot. All right, let's do it like this for a couple months. Let's fix this issue. Then let's fix this issue. It's like a step by step thing. And I think I was really forcing like textbook shooting form on day one. And then I realized I was like, it's probably not going to work because they're going to see the ball not go in the basket for a while. And then I'm like, mentally, it's going to be tough. Like that confidence. I'm like, all right, let's just take our time, if that makes sense. So I just kind of pull back on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's a kind of a cool thing too, because a lot of times like they'll organically find what you wanted them to find anyways, and it's so much more sticky when that is the case. Like when you force it, like again, you have the survivorship bias with a couple athletes that it works for right away, and then it's amazing and everything is beautiful. But so many athletes, like you said, like there's these issues, it doesn't stick. You can force it, you want to almost kill yourself as a coach because like every day repeating the same thing. Whereas if you take a step back, like you were saying, and organically kind of like funnel them into the way that you kind of want them to do it and see it, and they'll have slight variations and allowing for that slight variation, but kind of the principles are set, then they organically find what you're looking for. Man, that sticks so much better.
And it's so amazing. It's so gratifying to see them like it click, and you're like, that worked.
Yeah.
That worked. I agree. That's a great way to put it. It's just kind of small pushes, and then they organically they get it down. It's like you see them light up, and they're like, "Oh yeah." That delusion starts to kick in. They're like, "Yeah, I can do
Yeah,
it."
I'm him. Well, hell yeah. Well, speaking of delusion, you got a new facility coming up. What's that process like? Are we shooting for the moon here? Is it in the next step? Like what's the you got a big project? What's going on?
Yeah. So we're building another facility in San Francisco. It's a ten
Are you
minute
keeping
walk.
them both open or are you switching over to one?
I think at first we'll keep them both open. We'll see how it goes. Again, I'm even with the groups, I operate the business the same way, like, and that's a little bit on me, but that quality control is, important. I want the product to be as good as it can be. So we'll see. Um, but yeah, we're building a new gym. It'll be ready in August. It's a 10-minute walk from the Chase Center, where the Warriors play.
Yeah.
Great hoop location. It's been a project I've been working on for over a year. We had a great partner come in and investor and say, I'll build this for you, and I really like what you're doing, and let's see where you can take it. So that's a that's a short version.
Hell yeah. Bigger space, fancier space. Like what's
Yeah,
the
so
what's the biggest like benefit? Location?
Yeah, so it's a bigger space. It's a smaller full court, as you can imagine. In San Francisco, there's not a lot of square footage that's easily accessible, and it's very expensive. So it's a 70 foot, just under 70 foot full court. There's three hoops. It'll allow us to do a little bit bigger sessions or multiple sessions at the same time. Um, it's state of the art, no expenses spared at all. We'll have NBA flooring in there, NBA hoops. Um, Trying to think, yeah, and that'll be it.
What's kind of the vision you're thinking for it? Like, what's the ultimate goal that you're trying to have? Is it still working with players from fourth grade to pro, or are you trying to tailor it
Take over
more
the world,
towards what was that?
take over the world for sure. That's always been the goal. And I mean it, and I really mean it. I'm very competitive. So, I'm constantly competing with delivering the best product and producing the best athletes. And I just want to see how far that will take me. Um, I'm going to work with probably more of the higher level players, as just that journey is equip me with working with them. I have 4 or 5 coaches under me that are training everybody else in between. Um, yeah, and we'll see.
Fuck yeah, dude. Take over the world. I appreciate you taking the time out of your world contest to conquest to come and do this podcast with us, dude. This was awesome.
I appreciate you, Austin.
Thank you guys for listening. Keep chopping wood.
Appreciate you, T.
Thank you for listening. Join us next week as we dive down another rabbit hole. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star rating. Follow us on Instagram at Austin Yoakum to stay updated on future podcast guests. Keep chopping wood.